I'm not entirely sure when my life went to hell. Maybe it was the day I quit my respectable job as an insurance salesman to become a poet. Spoiler alert, no one pays for poetry. Or maybe it was the day I adopted a cat instead of dealing with my crushing loneliness. Who knows? The only certainty is that I'm now sitting on my grimy couch, in my underwear, clutching a bottle of cheap whiskey while my cat tells me I'm a failure. Crying again, Julio? The damn cat says. Yes, the cat talks. And no, I'm not crazy. Well, maybe a little, but the cat does talk. I found out 3 days ago during a philosophical drinking binge when he casually dropped, "Could you stop stinking of failure for 5 minutes?" I thought it was the alcohol, but the next day, he talked again. And the day after that, and now here we are, having this delightful conversation while I try not to dwell on the fact that my life has devolved into arguing with a resentful ball of fur. Look, Julio, you've got 2 options. The cat says, licking his paw with the smugness of someone who doesn't pay rent. You can keep wallowing in self-pity. Or, hear me out. You could try being a functional human for once. Not that I have high hopes for that. What the hell am I supposed to do, huh? I snap back, caught between desperation and sarcasm. Go out there and pretend everything's fine. While life keeps beating, me with its spiked baseball bat? No, of course not. That would require effort, and we both know you're allergic to that. Maybe start small, like cleaning my litter box. It's starting to smell worse than your poems. And there it was, the dagger to my already wounded pride. My own cat insulting me like some kind of therapist, but without the empathy or a framed diploma on the wall. That night, as I lay on my bed, which feels more like a wooden plank than a mattress, the cat jumped onto my chest. I'm not sure what was more unsettling, the weight of his paws, or the fact that his breath smelled like sardines and disappointment. Listen, Julio, I need to tell you something important, he said. What now? Another critique of my instant noodle diet? No, something deeper, something transcendent. I'm an envoy. I laughed, not a nervous chuckle. No, a full-blown laugh that echoed through my tiny apartment. An envoy of what? Heaven. Because if angels are cats, I need to rethink my stance on religion. Not heaven, you idiot. I'm an envoy of hell. And that's when I stopped laughing. What? I whispered, my voice trembling. Yeah, you heard me. I was sent here to torment you. But honestly, you're doing such a spectacular job of that on your own. I'm starting to feel redundant. The next morning, I woke up with a pounding headache and the vague, nagging feeling that my life had taken a nosedive straight into the twilight zone. My cat, the supposed envoy of hell, was sprawled out on the kitchen counter, licking his paw like he didn't just drop the most absurd bombshell of my existence the night before. So let me get this straight, I said, pouring myself a cup of instant coffee that tasted like regret. You're some kind of satanic minion sent to ruin my life. Correct, he said without even looking at me. Although, to be fair, you don't need much help in that department. I sat down at the table, staring at him like I could somehow glare the insanity out of him. Or myself. Why me? I'm not important. I'm not rich. I don't even leave the apartment most days. What's the point of tormenting me? Shouldn't you be off possessing world leaders or corrupting billionaires or something? The cat finally looked up, his yellow eyes gleaming with the kind of disdain that only a feline, or possibly a tax auditor, could muster. Oh, please. You think hell has time for the rich and powerful? Those people are already doing our job for us. You, on the other hand, you're a train wreck wrapped in a dumpster fire, and it's entertaining as hell to watch. I took a long sip of my terrible coffee, letting his words sink in. So what's the plan? Are you here to ruin my life further? Or are you just freeloading like every other cat on the planet? He jumped down from the counter, landing gracefully on the floor. It's not about ruining your life, Julio. It's about nudging you along. Think of it as creative destruction. Besides, it's not all bad. I might even help you out. Occasionally. Help me? You? I laughed bitterly. What? Like a demonic self-help guru? You gonna give me tips on how to be less pathetic? Exactly, he said without a trace of irony. For instance, you could start by throwing out those moldy leftovers in your fridge. They're evolving into a new life form, and even hell has standards. I glared at him, but deep down, I knew he was right. My fridge was a biohazard. My apartment was a mess. And my life was somehow worse. Still, I wasn't about to take life advice from a talking cat. Later that day, I was lying on the couch, trying to process the surreal nightmare my life had become. The cat was curled up on the armrest, watching me with a look of mild disgust. "You know," he said, breaking the silence, "if you put half as much effort into fixing your life as you do into moping, you might actually accomplish something." "Yeah, sure," I muttered. "And maybe pigs will fly, and hell will freeze over." "Funny you should mention that," he replied. "Hell's not far off from freezing. Climate change, you know, even we're not immune to it." I couldn't help but laugh, even though I hated myself for finding him funny. "All right, Mr. Demon Cat, what exactly do you want me to do? Clean my apartment? Get a job? Write another terrible poem no one will read?" "For starters, yes," he said, stretching lazily. But let's aim higher. I think it's time you did something meaningful with your miserable existence." "Like what?" He smirked, or at least I swear he did. "I'll let you figure that out. But don't worry, I'll be here to guide you. Think of me as your infernal life coach." And with that, he jumped off the couch and padded over to his litter box, leaving me alone with my thoughts and the unsettling realization that my cat was probably the only creature in the universe who cared enough to call me out on my bullshit. If you'd told me a month ago that I'd be negotiating with my cat about the future of my life, I would have laughed in your face, then promptly cried into my whiskey. But here I was, staring at him as he sat on the kitchen table, grooming himself with the kind of calm that only something with zero responsibilities could manage. "All right," I said, crossing my arms. "Let's pretend for a second that I buy into your whole envoy of hell thing. What exactly do you want from me? My soul? My dignity? Because I hate to break it to you, but I don't have much of either left." The cat stopped mid-lick and looked at me with a bored expression. "First of all, your soul, not worth much. Barely a nickel in hell's economy. Second, I don't want anything from you. This isn't some Faustian deal. You're not even Faust. You're more like that guy who cleans up after Faust trips over his own ego." "Wow. Thanks. That's really motivating," I said, rolling my eyes. "Motivating you is your job. My job is to keep you from completely self-destructing because, believe it or not, you have potential. Somewhere. Deep, deep down." I squinted at him, trying to decide if he was serious or just messing with me for his own amusement. "Potential for what? More failure?" "No, idiot. Potential to stop being a whiny loser. Think of me as a very hands-off therapist. Or pause-off, I guess." By the end of the day, I still wasn't sure if I was losing my mind, or if the universe really had decided to send me a satanic intervention in the form of a sarcastic house cat. Either way, I figured it couldn't hurt to humor him. What's the worst that could happen? "So, if you're here to help me turn my life around, where do we start?" I asked, leaning back in my chair. "First things first, clean this dump. Your apartment looks like the love child of a landfill and a crime scene." I looked around, feeling a pang of shame as I took in the pizza boxes, empty beer bottles, and suspiciously sticky spots on the floor. "Fine, but if I do this, you have to promise to stop insulting me for 5 minutes." The cat smirked. "I'll consider it. Now grab a mop and start pretending you care about basic hygiene."